All right, to the talk of transition and the talk of who might be in Barack Obama's upcoming cabinet. At the top of the chatter this weekend, you guessed it, Hillary Clinton. And what's this about a meeting on Monday with John McCain? Well, our panelists this hour are political analyst Bob Franken and Washington Post editorial writer Jonathan Capehart. The guys are going to help me break down all this back and forth. What's real, what's not real. All right, let me begin with you, Jonathan. What do you make of all the talk about Hillary Clinton possibly ending up as Secretary of State? All right, Bob, I'm going to let you throw cold water on this because I think a lot of people are saying, what could he possibly be thinking? But then again, I get, the old Washington saying, right? Better to have the elephant inside the tent than outside the tent. What's your sense?
Or a donkey in this case.
Yeah,
the
donkey, there you go.
Would be
in the scenes meeting. Let's go to Kevin Corke, live at the politics desk in Washington. I don't know, Kevin, are you expecting this to be a feel-good moment or for real bridges to be built?
Well, a little from column A, probably, and a little bit from column B. Contested, the president-elect says he wants to sit down with John McCain to discuss a shared belief that Americans really do want more effective and efficient government. So the question is, well, how do they get to that point? And for analysis, we welcome MSNBC analyst and Newsweek senior White House correspondent Richard Wolff. By the way, Richard co-wrote this week's cover story on what lessons Obama can learn from that other president from Illinois, Abraham Lincoln. Richard, good day to you. And I guess contestant makes a very good question. Are there still lingering bad feelings that the two men may have to get past first, considering the long and bitter campaign?
Well, it's kind of naive to say that there aren't those bad feelings there, but both of these...
The third and final presidential debate last month, Barack Obama said, you remember that, right? He said he believes that Roe versus Wade was rightly decided. And, well, his victory, it would seem, would now end Republican hopes of a more conservative Supreme Court. But what might an Obama high court look like? Joining me now is Suzette Malveaux. She is a law professor at the Columbus School of Law at the Catholic University of America. Professor, thank you for your time today. A lot of people think about the court and they say, well, okay, a new Democratic president is coming on board. Does that mean we'll probably see changes to the high court? Who's most likely, perhaps, even to leave the high court in the next 4 years?
Certainly, we are in a position where President Barack Obama is in a very powerful position. He could, in fact, replace one or two or even three Supreme Court justices.
Kevin, back to you.
NBC's Mike Taibbi. Thank you, Mike. Appreciate it. Israeli Prime Minister Ehud Olmert is meeting today with Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas. The two are trying to draw up a preliminary peace document, but still the sides are at odds over the fate of Jerusalem. President Bush has been trying to broker a peace deal between the two sides and trying to get it done before he leaves office. Olmert himself steps down next month.
Here's NBC's Kevin Corke in depth.
From abortion to same-sex marriage to the Ten Commandments in the public square, Christian evangelicals have presented a united front for years. But now an issue that appears to be uniting much of the country, global warming, is driving a wedge in the evangelical community. On one recent Sunday, polar opposite views from two pulpits.
But we shouldn't be hugging trees and worshiping the creation more than we worship the Creator, and that is what global warming is all about.
I happen to believe there is global warming, and I happen to believe that humans have something to do with it, and I happen to believe that we can do something to correct it.
It started when Reverend Richard Cizik, vice president of the 30 million-member National Association of Evangelicals, proposed fellow Christians adopt a climate initiative, calling on Congress and the White House to fight global warming. The debate quickly split evangelicals, and each side looked to bolster its view by turning to a familiar source, the Bible.
To be stewards of this earth, that's what the Bible says we are, stewards of it. We're to care for it, for God.
But other prominent evangelicals say the fate of the earth is in God's hands.
While the earth remaineth, until then, seed time and harvest, that spring and fall, shall not cease.
For years, evangelicals have built a strong coalition by focusing on issues of faith and family. And there's some leaders in that community that are concerned that by branching out into environmental activism, they not only dilute their message, they undermine their strength.
We believe that Richard Cizik and his colleagues are dividing evangelicals and setting them at odds with each other.
There are people who would really like to expand the agenda, and maybe climate change is